Ready for a deep dive into Taiwanese pop royalty. We're going to trace the fascinating journey of Jolin Tsai.
Oh, yeah.
See how she became a gay icon?
Became a gay icon way before
Yeah.
her more recent advocacy. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're looking at like how her music and persona resonated so deeply within the LGBTQ plus community. Especially among gay men.
Gay men, yeah.
Yes.
It's remarkable how this connection goes way beyond like just typical fandom.
Totally.
It really unfolds against this specific cultural backdrop.
You know, finding strength in places you might not expect.
Right.
And seeing yourself reflected in someone who dared to be different.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the power of pop culture.
Yes.
To transcend those boundaries and give people this sense of belonging.
Yes.
Especially when societal acceptance might be lacking.
Exactly. So let's rewind. 2003, the era of magic.
Oh, magic, yeah.
This was a huge comeback for Jolin after a hiatus.
Right.
And she completely reinvented her image.
And that whole theme of transformation, right, shedding that old skin and emerging even stronger.
Yeah.
It resonated with so many LGBTQ plus individuals.
I bet.
Imagine early 2000s.
Yeah.
Society's still grappling with LGBTQ plus acceptance.
Right.
And here's Jolin embodying this message of self-reinvention and resilience.
It's even more powerful.
Yeah.
When you think about the fact that magic actually translates to watch my 72 changes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So she's embracing this constant evolution.
Yeah.
It's like she's inviting listeners to go on their own journeys of self-discovery alongside her.
For a community that's often facing pressure to conform, that message of embracing change and owning your transformation, it was huge.
And then, just as things were heating up, 2006 arrived with Dancing Diva.
Dancing Diva.
Took everything to a whole nother level. But it wasn't just about the high-energy dance anthems.
Right.
Jolin started experimenting with different personas. Agent J, these really strong, almost mythical female figures.
Interesting.
So this is where we get to this concept of feminine masquerade.
Okay.
And this is a term that was actually coined by Joan Riviere and then later explored by Judith Butler. And it suggests that performing femininity, even exaggerating it, can be a way to challenge traditional gender norms.
I'm with you so far.
So help me understand this better.
Yeah.
How does that connect with Jolin and resonate with her gay fan base?
So think of it this way for women.
Okay.
It can be about reclaiming and redefining femininity.
Right.
Showing that it's not about weakness or submissiveness.
Yeah.
But for gay men, especially in societies where masculinity is like totally equated with heterosexuality, embracing the feminine, whether it's through fashion, performance, self-expression, can be incredibly liberating.
Totally. It's like she was creating this space for people to embrace different facets of themselves.
Yes.
Regardless of what society expected of them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Whether intentional or not.
Right.
Jolin's exploration of these powerful female archetypes
Totally.
resonated with a community that was yearning for self-expression.
Yes.
And a celebration of individuality.
And then came the Play album in 2014, and the visuals took such a sharp turn. It was playful, it was theatrical, almost exaggerated.
Okay.
And I think this is when the word camp really entered the conversation around Jolin.
Camp. It's a term that's so deeply intertwined with LGBTQ plus history and culture, right?
Absolutely.
Like often it's a form of subversion, a way to reclaim and celebrate elements that are often dismissed or ridiculed even by mainstream society.
It's almost a double-edged sword, right? Like, can it be seen as a celebration or mockery?
You've hit on a key point. Yep. It's both celebratory and subversive.
Okay.
In how people interpret it. It's always so layered and complex.
Yeah.
But what's undeniable is its connection to female pop stars with their elaborate costumes, the theatrical performances, their willingness to push those boundaries.
And Jolin embraced it.
She did.
Wholeheartedly.
Wow.
Even the song titles from this era, Phony Queen, Play.
Right.
It felt like these playful winks to the audience.
Totally.
You know, acknowledging the theatricality, the irony, the multiple layers of meaning that were woven into her work.
For sure.
But what's so fascinating to me is that even with all this talk of glamour and transformation, a lot of sources highlight this other side of Jolin.
Oh, really?
What one called her underdog diva side.
Underdog diva. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's where we see the depth of her story, because behind the performances, the personas, is this story of an artist who faced immense pressure to be perfect.
Right.
To constantly meet and exceed expectations.
That's a lot of pressure.
And it's something that I think we can all relate to.
For sure.
Regardless of our background.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One minute she's racking up awards.
Right.
And the next she's facing this harsh criticism.
Oh.
Being told she's not good enough, not this enough, not that enough.
Oh, that's tough.
It's a lot to handle.
I bet, especially in the public eye.
Especially in the public eye.
Yeah.
And it's that struggle, that vulnerability alongside the strength that makes her relatable and even more inspiring.
It reminds me of what Richard Dyer wrote about Judy Garland.
Oh.
How it was that combination of immense talent and visible fragility that made her such a powerful gay icon.
Interesting.
It's the idea that you can be both at once, glamorous and wounded.
Yes.
And that's okay.
It's human.
Yeah.
And Jolin embodies that duality so beautifully.
She does.
There's this quote about her that really stuck with me.
What is it?
To her, glamour and suffering were never mutually exclusive. They were mutually constitutive.
Wow.
It's like those two sides of her, the sparkle and the struggle, are what make her whole, what make her so authentic.
Exactly. And that authenticity, it resonates so profoundly with the LGBTQ plus experience, which often involves like navigating societal expectation, overcoming obstacles, emerging stronger on the other side.
It's like she's not selling a fantasy.
No.
She's sharing her journey scars and all, which makes her message even more powerful and authentic.
Exactly. And it's that genuine connection that forged such a strong bond between Jolin and her LGBTQ plus fans. And you can't overlook the generational aspect of her fandom.
Right.
Jolin's career.
It blossomed.
Yeah, it blossomed in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
A time when a lot of young gay men in Taiwan were coming of age and trying to navigate their own identities against this backdrop of societal expectation and often prejudice.
So there's a sense that her journey mirrored their own.
Yeah.
That constant striving, the boundary pushing, the refusal to be put in a box.
Right.
It's about so much more than just the music at that point.
Totally.
It's about seeing your struggles and your triumphs reflected in someone else's narrative, finding strength and validation in their story.
And that is the essence of a true icon. It's not just about being admired. It's about creating a space for connection, for shared experiences, for feeling seen and understood.
It's almost as if she didn't set out to be a gay icon. It just happened organically. Because her journey resonated so deeply with this community. That saw itself reflected in her story.
And that's so powerful.
It is.
To have that kind of impact, even unintentionally.
I know.
It speaks volumes about art music performance. To transcend boundaries and create meaningful connection.
It reminds us that the most impactful stories are often those that resonate on a very personal level. And make us feel a little less alone.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about the strength and vulnerability Jolin embodies. Especially when she was facing that intense public scrutiny. It makes you wonder how someone navigates that pressure. That constant need to prove yourself.
It's a great point. And it really speaks to a theme that kind of like runs through so much of her career. This idea of being an underdog. Having to constantly fight for recognition and acceptance.
It's not just about the external pressure though, There's also this internal drive. This ambition to like always push boundaries and challenge herself artistically.
Absolutely. And it's that combination of external pressure and internal drive that fuels that evolution as an artist. Take, for example, her foray into different musical genres. Like she never let herself be confined to just one style. That's right.
From pop ballads to dance anthems, incorporating like hip hop, EDM, even traditional Chinese music. She never shied away from experimentation.
Exactly. And that constant exploration, willingness to like take risks and defy expectations, it resonated with a fan base.
Of course.
That really appreciated that boldness.
And it wasn't just the music that was evolving.
Her
visuals, her fashion, her entire stage presence, they all became more daring, more experimental.
I love that.
Like she was saying, this is me, take it or leave it.
Such a powerful message to send.
I know.
Especially for a community that often faces pressure to conform.
Totally.
To fit into those predefined molds.
Yeah. It's like she was really demonstrating that true strength comes from embracing every part of yourself.
Yes.
Even the parts that society might deem like unconventional or different.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that message of self-acceptance, coupled with just her incredible work ethic.
Yes.
And dedication to her craft.
Totally.
Made her such an inspiring figure.
I bet.
Especially for those young LGBTQ plus individuals who are still finding their own voices.
Right.
Navigating their own journeys of self-discovery.
This reminds me of something we touched on earlier.
Oh.
That sense of Jolin and her fans, like growing up together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as she was evolving as an artist.
Yeah.
They were evolving as individuals.
Right.
And that shared journey created such a unique bond.
Totally. A bond of understanding and mutual admiration.
Absolutely.
And it speaks to the enduring power of her legacy.
Yes.
She's not just a pop star.
Right.
She's a cultural touchstone.
Yeah.
A symbol of resilience transformation.
And that brings us to what I think is a pivotal moment in her career and a turning point in her relationship with her LGBTQ plus fans. The release of her 2018 album, Ugly Beauty.
Ugly Beauty. Okay.
This album marked a significant shift, I think.
Yeah, so.
Musically and thematically. It delved into more personal and introspective themes, exploring vulnerability, self-doubt.
Okay.
Even those darker aspects of fame and public scrutiny.
I see.
Even the title, Ugly Beauty, feels like this bold statement about challenging conventional beauty standards.
Absolutely.
And embracing the complexity of human experience.
And that's exactly what she did.
She did.
She wasn't afraid to show her flaws, her insecurities, the parts of herself that were considered less than perfect, created this powerful message of self-acceptance that resonated so deeply with her audience, particularly with those who had always been told that they were too much or not enough.
Exactly. It's like she was saying, it's okay to not be perfect, to have flaws, to embrace the messiness of being human.
Right.
And that message of radical self-acceptance, especially coming from someone who had achieved so much success and visibility, was incredibly powerful.
And let's not forget the visuals.
Oh, yeah. How could we?
They were bold, provocative.
Yes.
Often surreal, drawing inspiration from art mythology, even horror films.
It was like this visual feast.
It was.
It was like she was using her body as a canvas to explore these different facets of herself.
Totally.
And as much as Ugly Beauty was a personal statement for Jolin, it also felt like this love letter to her fans.
I love that.
Like a way of saying,
yeah,
I see you, I accept you, and I celebrate your unique beauty.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that message of acceptance and celebration resonated so deeply with her LGBTQ plus fan base, who saw in her a powerful ally.
Yes.
And a symbol of hope for a more inclusive and accepting future.
It's amazing to think about how Jolin's journey from those early bubblegum pop days to this era of like raw vulnerability, self-expression, mirrored the journey of so many of her fans. Finding her voice, embracing her authentic self. She was empowering them to do the same.
And that shared journey, that sense of mutual growth and understanding is what makes this connection with her LGBTQ plus fans so special. It's a testament to the power of art.
Yes.
To create empathy.
Yeah.
To build bridges of understanding. To remind us that even in our differences, we are all connected by our shared humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful impact is the one we have when we're not even trying.
Right.
When we're simply being our authentic selves.
Yes.
And allowing others to witness our journey.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, is the legacy of Jolin Tsai.
Yeah.
An artist who, through her music, her performances, her unwavering commitment to self-expression has created a space for millions of people to feel seen, heard, and celebrated for who they truly are. And here's the thing, it's more than just the music, right? It's about how she's using her platform to advocate for LGBTQ rights, especially in Asia, where those conversations can be a little tricky.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly powerful, and she really puts herself out there. Fantasy, it's like this subtle celebration.
Yeah.
The music video especially is all about diversity and self-acceptance. You've got all these different characters, and they're all coming together in this really fantastical world.
It's like she's created this utopia where being different is celebrated.
Yes. And the lyrics, even in translation, they have that same message, like, happy is the name you're born with, and you should understand that you're one in a million, and you're the most beautiful color. It's all about embracing who you are, finding your own kind of beautiful.
Wow, those lyrics hit differently when you put them in that context. It's subtle, but it's so powerful, especially knowing how important LGBTQ acceptance is to her.
It's like she's planting this seed, especially with that video. We're all different, yet the same. Back in 2015.
Right. That video was huge. I mean, it's got a same-sex wedding, and she even kissed a woman on screen.
It was a huge statement, yeah. And to do it with Ruby Lin, I mean, talk about getting people's attention. She wasn't being subtle about it. It was like she was forcing people to see something they weren't used to seeing, especially in mainstream Asian media.
And it's not just the imagery. It's the fact that the whole thing is based on a real story.
Oh, totally. It's about this woman who couldn't even make medical decisions for her partner, and they've been together for 30 years, all because their relationship wasn't recognized legally. Can you imagine? Like, you build a life with someone, you love them, and you don't even have those basic rights.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is, and that's what Jolin does so well. She doesn't let you off the hook with just like, love is love. She makes you think about the real-life struggles, the injustices that LGBTQ people face.
It makes her advocacy so much more impactful, you know? She's not just singing about love. She's bringing these issues to light in a really powerful way. And then there's Woomsonly.
Oh yeah, Woomsonly. Such a powerful tribute to Ye Youngche.
So for those who don't know, who was Ye Youngche and how does he connect to Jolin's music?
So Ye Youngche was a student in Taiwan, and he tragically passed away in 2000. He had been bullied really badly just for expressing his gender identity, and it's believed that this bullying ultimately led to his death. It was a huge deal in Taiwan. It sparked all these conversations about gender equality in schools, and it eventually led to the Gender Equity Education Act being passed.
I had no idea a song could be connected to such a pivotal moment in LGBTQ history.
It really is. And the lyrics of that song, Woomsonly, they really capture that pain, that feeling of being different, of not being accepted.
And she didn't just release the song, right? She used her platform at the Golden Melody Awards to talk about Ye Youngche's story, didn't she?
Absolutely. I mean, the song won Song of the Year, which is huge in itself, but then her acceptance speech, so moving. She talked about how everyone deserves to choose who they are, how we should all be accepted and loved for who we are no matter what. That was such a win, not just for Jolin, but for visibility and representation.
What's incredible is that the song topped the charts all over Asia. It shows that music with a message, with real stories, it resonates. You know, it's not just entertainment, it's starting conversations that need to be had.
And she doesn't stop there either. I mean, her concerts are a whole other level.
Okay, so tell me more about that. How does she bring this message to her concerts? Those are massive events.
She uses that platform. She'll actually bring people on stage, share their stories. Like during her Play World Tour, she had Zheng Kaiksen come out.
Who's Zheng Kaiksen? What happened?
Okay, so Zheng Kaiksen is a transgender teacher. And Jolin played this video during the concert, talked about Zheng's story, her journey with self-discovery, her decision to have gender affirmation surgery, the whole thing. Even talked about the challenges she faced with her family accepting her.
Wow. That's really personal to share with the world, let alone a stadium full of people.
Yeah. And then, after the video, Zheng comes out on stage.
No way!
Yeah. And she gave this really powerful message about being brave, about embracing who you are, even when it's hard. And to have Jolin right there beside her, showing her support, it was amazing. You could feel it in the audience, too. It was a moment.
It's moments like that that really make a difference. She's not just talking, she's acting. She's putting her money where her mouth is, you know?
Right. And she's reaching people who might never have thought about these issues before.
It's pretty brilliant when you think about it. She's meeting people where they are, you know? They're there for a concert, ready to have a good time. And she's subtly opening their minds to new perspectives.
Exactly.
It's not just about the music anymore. It's about using her influence to make a difference. It's like she's figured out how to perfectly blend her activism with her music.
Yeah, exactly. And she makes it work, too. It never feels forced.
Yeah.
It's not like she's preaching or anything.
It's all about creating that space for empathy, you know, for actually understanding each other.
Totally. And you have to remember, too, the cultural context here. I mean, in some parts of Asia, these conversations are still really taboo.
So for her to be so outspoken, so visible about it, that's huge.
Huge. She's an icon, really. And not just for the music, but for what she represents.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Jolin Tsai, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
I think it's that Jolin Tsai is more than just catchy pop songs. She's a force. She's using her platform to actually make a difference in the world, and she's not afraid to challenge people, you know?
She's starting those difficult conversations, and she's showing us all what it means to stand up for what you believe in.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, she'll inspire some other artists to do the same.
If you enjoy our podcast, C-Pop Deep Dive, don't forget to leave a message, give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, and share your favorite episodes on social media. You can find us on Instagram at @CPOP Deep Dive. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on the show.